impressive with plugging in. I think it was 5 guards.
Mm-hmm.
And got played in that game.
Yeah, I'm super proud of everyone in the O-line who stepped up there. I think I looked over about 5 times, 4 times. I saw a different person playing next to me. But I have full confidence. I think Coach Moore has full confidence in everyone that played in that game, and it showed. Obviously, they went in there and we didn't skip a beat. They knew exactly what they're doing. They came off the ball full speed, and I think that's a great testimony to Coach Moore and how he prepares everyone to play. And, my first start was on the road in kind of a big game, so I always tell them, you got to be ready at any moment. These games get crazy, especially on a travel game. There's less people, so you always have to be ready when your name gets called. And sure enough, a lot of guys' names did get called, and they all responded great.
It's been a year since you guys played the opener last year, and you're also playing, I guess, in your 7th game this year, which is more than you played last year. I mean, how bizarre was last year, especially with just the kind of stop-start nature of everything, and how did that kind of, I guess, maybe reinforce the idea that you guys are kind of creatures of habit in some ways?
Yeah, I mean, last year just kind of didn't really feel like college football in a lot of ways. It was, no fans in any stadium, kind of not starting on time, not getting the time to really kind of bond with everyone in a camp or in a hotel or something. Really kind of affected the nature of college football, and I think the nature of a lot of teams. But I think what it did teach us this year was that, no game is taken for granted. Every opponent we looked at is we could lose this team, if we don't show up. And so I think that's showed up in our kind of preparation for every team. No team is taken lightly. We're not looking behind, we're not looking ahead, we're looking at the week ahead of us. So this week, it's Northwestern, obviously, we're not taking them lightly at all. They're a good team, they've always been a good team. So I think that's something that's carried over this year, and I think it's built into our preparation now, and I think it's shown with our record of how well we prepare now compared to last year.
Were there any lessons learned, I guess, from the focus level, I guess, going through like you guys did last year, I guess?
I don't know. I think mostly it was just such a weird year overall. I mean, I don't think you can point at one thing and say this was the main cause, but it just wasn't college football, and it wasn't us in general. I think, in a lot of ways, it was a tough year, and so I'm glad we're out of it now. But I think it was definitely a great moment to kind of not take this team advantage or football for granted. And so we're all back. We're all proud to be playing and happy to be playing. And it finally feels like college football is back.
You told me before the season that David Ojabo was the guy that you thought was that made the biggest strides in the offseason. He was really good this year. How has he kind of lived up to your expectations? He exceeded them. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, Ojabo's been a great player so far. And it's tough when the guy on the other side is Aiden Hutchinson. It's tough to kind of compete with that, but he's found his role and he's playing great. I mean, he's had sacks in multiple games, strip sacks. And so, going against him in camp every day, I knew how good he could be. It was just kind of linking, two things together. It was kind of linking the mental aspect with, his physical capabilities. And so I think he's done a great job in doing that. And I think Coach Mack's defense has allowed him to be the player he wants to be. And so, he's done great these first 6 games. And I hope, he can keep learning, continuing improving his game, and, continue to be a huge part for us on defense.
How would you describe what has transpired in college football this year with so many top teams losing, the top 10 fluctuating so much, and seemingly like a lot of parity throughout college football?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is that obviously COVID last year it was a free year for a lot of teams, for a lot of players who got a year back, and so I think now you're seeing a lot of very experienced players coming out, a lot of very experienced teams especially. So a bunch of these teams that you wouldn't expect to be, who historically were not as good, have really developed players, players that 5th or 6th year guys that got an extra year and said, yeah, sure, I'll come back. And so I think that has led to a lot of teams to kind of overperform or perform better than expected. And so overall, I think that just leads to a more competitive overall college atmosphere. I'm not really a huge fan of kind of one team dominating all of college football. I think it's more fun if there's always a chance that the team could lose, no matter how good they are. That's what made college football. So I'm kind of excited to see how college football plays out this year, and excited to be in the mix, and hopefully we can keep climbing.